So hi everybody and welcome back. This is Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 99 and in this video I want to show you again the input and we created in the last video this player controller. I want to show you fast how to set up this dispatcher because that can cause a little bit problems, and I want to show you how you can create your own input without using this project settings. So let's get started. First of all, this dispatcher, if you had problems, what I did here is I'm now jumping to my created player controller. That is, I assigned it here. I opened this one up. I opened this, and here is this our little player controller which we created, and we had this problem with this event dispatcher here. No, on the other side. Yes, we had this problem with this event dispatcher call because I just said you can copy the whole code, place it in your player controller, and then change just the references here, which we did. And we had still a problem with this dispatcher. And to solve that is you just move the dispatcher, or but let's say you just create here in your player controller a dispatcher, which is easy. You just press here plus, name the dispatcher, for example, on use item 2 in my case, and then call this on use item. I made this, then I drag this in and I called this. We all talked about this, that's why I go a little bit fast over it. And then this section is finished. What you have to do is go to your rifle, because this call place, in my case, I have to go now to this rifle. I made a mistake. I made a connection to this original rifle, but not the one I wanted, which is the created one. So let's do this here. So you see, we have not this one here. So before you can continue, of course, we need a reference. And a reference, there are different ways we know this. Let's go to begin play. And I get all actors of class. And I need a reference to this player controller, which I created. So I select this, PC, and my created player controller. And then I get it. And this one is just getting this player controller, and I promote this to a variable. And now this promoting a variable means I make a reference and I have access now to this player controller, and I call this one here on the left side in variables. Let's put this up here. I call this one, I press F2 and call it ref for reference, and let's call it PC underscore my created player controller. All right, this one is created. Now we need this reference just for accessing this player controller, because I want access actual this one here, and I want make a binding. We talked about this one, and that's why I'm using it, this one. So what I do now is I get this reference here, get, and then I say on use, because I want to use this dispatcher on use item 2. So let's write here on use item 2, assign or bind event, make what you think, bind event in our case, because assign and bind event are similar. The assign has here just attached an event, but you can disable it because I want to use this one here, the same like here, which means I connect this one here. And now I want just create an event. So which means I drag here out of this event and say create event. And now with this create event, I can just select which event I want. And we have already set up this event here, right? So, and I just select this event, this shot projectile, which means shot projectile. And that's it. That's it. And when I start, here I have 2, and now it should shot this one, and that's good. So that's the first part. So that was if you had problems with this dispatcher, because I have not explained this in my last video, and I said this can cause problems for starters. That's why I made this here as well. That was a little bit repetition, but whatever. We continue, which comes to the next part, which is more interesting. Let's get rid of all the other files here because we don't need them right now. And we open up our player controller again, which we created. And I want to show you something interesting here. And what this is this default setup here. I said this node here, this event node, you find in when you go on top, project settings, and then go to input. And here you have this template which is provided. If you understand it, you can all time reuse it, but you don't have to use it. You can really set this whole thing up on your own here in this player controller. And I want just demonstrate it for this one node here, for this section here. And then I want to show you why we don't make this and use this setup here, but it's good to know that you can do something like that. So first of all, we are just simulating all this kind of stuff without using this one here. So let's get started. So what I'm doing is I still need this add movement input. So this one and get forward vector, these two nodes I still need, because this is just from the pawn to forward vectors, which means I just copy this one and paste them here. And let's make here a little bit room, because I need a little bit room. So what I'm doing now is, instead of using this input axis move forward, which I have here in my project settings, you can see it, this is this one here, move forward, move backward, and they are assigned a key binding W, and here we have S for back and some other. But let's just try first this just W, and I show you how we set up this one manually now. So what you are doing is, first of all, right click and then write key W or V, and if it's not coming up like this, sometimes it's not, you have just to find this keyboard symbol here. Even if it says down, what you can do is then go on the right side in details panel, click on this keyboard here. It is yellow again, and now press the keyboard on your key on your keyboard, and it will appear here automatically. And in my case, I press now W, and we have W, and you see the node change to W. That's a very handy way. And now I want, when I press W, I want do exactly the same thing like this one. This code should be the same. And how I'm doing this, and we can do this by simulating, and I simulate it with a boolean. And how I do this, so I go here to the variables, I press here plus, and I say is pressed, and now I compile, and it is a boolean variable. That's good. Here on the details on the right side, we see the default value is false, which means it's not true. And then I can grab this boolean and I set this boolean. When I press W, I want that you are set. When I pressed release, I grab one more time, I set it, I want that you reset it, which means unset it. So I make here no check mark. So this is my control. But here we need one more step. The one more step is this one needs a tick event, because this one has a tick event behind the scene. So in this case, we have not behind the scene, so we have to use it here in front, and we have already a tick event. Let's write here tick and event. And one more thing, if I connect this one this way, this will not work, because this one will all time true, right? So this one will tick tick tick, and if I have here scale 1, it will all time fire. And to prevent this one, we can use now this node here, which we created, this boolean with a branch, which means I make a branch, right click, branch. Branch is all time a condition checker, right? Branch. You can also press B on this here. press B first and then click, and then it appears a branch. This is the fast way. And then I connect this, and branch means all time check a condition. And in my condition is if this boolean is pressed, then you should fire this one. So I grab again, this is pressed. I connect this one here. And if this one is pressed, it says here, W is pressed, then it will set true. True means go here and execute this code. And with that said, we have almost already simulated this part. We are almost finished. I think we are even finished. And if I release it, you will see that this one will unset. And a tick event means this one is fired every frame. It's very expensive actually, but that's normal. It checks. This is all time used for updates. And so you should be careful all time when you hear tick that you make here not difficult calculations, because that's not the right place. But this one here, what I do is just a simulation, and this one is just a setup for moving forward, not backwards. This is just if I want to move forwards. So let's compile, and I have here a problem which says target must have a condition self at movement. What I made wrong? Right. This pawn here, I need a reference of the pawn. Have I reference here as I have a character reference here? All right. So I get this character reference because I need just this character reference as well. The case in my player controller in my other thing, I don't need it. This one here. Here I have it actually too. I was only not setting up here. All right, this is fine, and then compile save. And now I can deselect this one, and we learned in our last video how we can deselect codes. I used the shortcut you can right click. This is the new way. Disable this one, for example, instead of all time disconnecting and connecting. And now this code is disabled, which means I hope this one is working. We can test it. And if I compile, I have here an error because I have disabled this one too. This should be not disabled. What's going here? Is this? Oops. Why can't? Let's see. Why can't? Let me see something here. That's also interesting. Normally I should be activate this one here. A little bit strange. All right, anyhow, it is strange. That's why now I disabled it and it's not activating. Okay, I use my Control U, my shortcut. I don't know why this one is not coming, but okay. Let's see this one, putting down and uncomment this one. Control comment. Now compile now. Yeah, now it's working. I don't know why this one is not coming. This perhaps you have to click here in front. That's crazy. Yes, okay. If you want use this, that's interesting. I thought you can right click here too, this node, and then this option appears, but you see I select all this one and click here, and this option appears not for this pure nodes. They appear only on this normal nodes. That's a interesting thing. But if you are using shortcuts, then you have this problem not. Then you don't care if it's up here on pure nodes or on normal nodes. But interesting info. So yes, I didn't know it too. So let's continue. Now it is working. I disabled now my move forward, and now I'm using this one. So let's see if this is working. And you can see I can move forward, but now I try to move backwards and I can't move backwards. I press the S key and no, it's only moving forward, and all other things work. And the reason for that one is now this code is using this one, and this is moving forward. And you see here that this code is actually much work to set up. And we use here variables and then pressed and not, oops, sorry, and not pressed. And then all this kind of stuff we can avoid just by using this project settings. But still, this one is still good to know, because if you have special needs, you can set up all on your own as well. For special cases, I don't know, behind the scene what you want make depends on the task. Perhaps you want here add some additional infos, codes, and so on. But yeah, it is possible. But in general, as a starter, especially as a starter, we are using this one here, this project settings, and we are happy with that. And like I said, if you messed up it like me, use the import and import it from another project, the default setting, and you are good to go. So with that said, I think I stop here, so I'm not going to create here now the backwards as well, which is just the same as just with the scaled value here with minus. So with other words, if I need backwards, I could make here one more node, which is this one here. Copy, let me see. Perhaps I can make this one here fast. And then I can connect this one here, this, and write here -1. Is this the way to go? I'm not sure. No, this is not the way to go. Now I can't go back and forwards. All right. So what you have to do is actually, if it's press, it goes in. All right. And then you can here separate this anyhow, but no, I'm not going to do this one. I want to just check if this one is working with the backwards. Yes. No, it's not. All right, now the problem is, okay, now I see the problem. Why it's not working. Makes sense. That was really stupid. Do you see it too? Of course, I'm using just one key and that's not working, right? So when I press V, both are fired and both are blocking each other, more or less what I did here. That's why I don't do this. What we have to do is, now I skip this, create another key like they did. For example, here an S key. And then set this S key similar up like this one, and then connect this S key to this one. And you see this will create more or less all time this kind of setup here for all directions which you want in a manual way. And to avoid this, just use this default setup as a starter. If you go a little bit more advanced, like I said, you can here make some additional codes, which means more optimization or customization, something like that. Yeah, with that said, I think I stop here. And I hope it helped. And if you have any complaints or questions like all time, write it in the comments. See you in the next. Bye and good luck.